Bruxish is finally debuting in Pokemon Go as part of the Festival of Colors event, running from March 8th to March 14th. Bruxish is the kind of Pokemon that you probably have already forgotten about, or the kind of Pokemon that's so absurd that you just can't forget about it. And well, after the Psychic Cup, you will definitely remember it because it is the only Psychic-type Pokemon with Bite. So in this video, I'm going to let you know just how good Bruxish is in the PvP metas, and some little breakpoint suggestions for it on top of it. So starting out, Bruxish is a water psychic type Pokemon, much like the Slow Dudes, and has only 1600 stat product compared to the Slow Dudes' 2000 stat product. So not that impressive. What is impressive about Bruxish was revealed at the beginning of the video. It has access to Bite, which is pretty good in a cup format where there's exclusively psychic type Pokemon, right? On top of that, it's got some early charge moves to make up for Bite's lack of energy gains with Aqua Tail, Psychic Fangs, and Crunch. So if you do get a big farm down in the Psychic Cup meta per se, well, you will be able to whip out something against the next mon in. Now, Bruxish doesn't just have potential in the Psychic Cup, it does have, utility in other cups too. It is the Psychic Sharpedo type Pokemon, so there will be other cup formats where having an aggressive bite down from a water psychic Pokemon might not be too appreciated from your opponents. With the Festival of Colors event, we are getting the Color Cup. Bruxish could work out there where there's big fire type Pokemon and Trevenant being powerful Pokemon, but Bruxish doesn't really do the Trevenant matchup all that well. You could overcome it in the 2 shield situation, but you're going to be the only Pokemon spending 2 shields there, and you're basically going to be out of energy and out of HP if you want to do any sort of shield pressure. So all in all, I'd say Bruxish not looking too good for the Color Cup, definitely looking pretty extreme for the Psychic Cup, and then future cups we could be seeing Bruxish. If you want a taste of just how wacky Bruxish is going to be in the Psychic Cup meta, here I'm going to compare it against Shadow Gardevoir, another fast move spamming Pokemon, in this scenario using only 1 shield against the opponent's 2s. I know this is a little bit unfair because these 2 Pokemon probably aren't going to get 2 shields from your opponent, but when you're thinking about it as a counter swap or a save swap kind of option, this type of utility does come up, right? And you can see here that Bruxish actually pulls more wins than the Gardevoir does in this situation. 15 to Gardevoir's 11. Now, of course, there are some dupes in here that Bruxish is handling better. And then we got Pokemon that, I don't know, probably won't show up like Xatu, right? So it is a little bit skewed. But I think this does speak well for Bruxish's power. Personally, when it comes to the Psychic Cup, I prefer trying to, get the one over my opponent with a shield or energy advantage, and Gardevoir and Bruxish aren't exactly leaning towards that, so I might not be using them myself, but I cannot deny that Bruxish and Gardevoir are potent options for the Psychic Cup. And then here you can also get a glimpse of some of the problematic Pokemon for Bruxish. For example, we got the Galarian Rapidash, which is a fairy type Pokemon, so the bites are going to be neutral damage against it. Another big player that we have is the Malamar. Malamar is dark type, so we got neutral bite damage, and then Malamar is accelerating to those foul plays there. So overall, 2 of the bigger Pokemon in the meta aren't too friendly towards the Bruxish. Of course, we don't know exactly where Galarian Rapidash is going to land with, the Slow Dudes all getting updated with Surf, making Galarian Slowking even more powerful. So I think there are some solid opportunities for Bruxish to stand out in this meta and be a threatening, potent Pokemon. So, when you see that goofy fish, you might wanna look twice when you're catching them, because Bruxish ain't looking too bad. By the way, if you want a nice light overview of the more potent Pokemon for all the cups this season, the season of Rising Heroes, we'll link up above and in the description to my cup overview video for the season of Rising Heroes. I did this same kind of overview video last season, and almost all of my predictions were spot on aside from new release Pokemon throughout the season. So it could be worthwhile to know which Pokemon that are spawning in the wild that you might want to take an extra close look at getting ready for the cups in the future. Now, if you are curious about a little IV tip for the Bruxish here, it's not going to show up if you do a bunch of different kind of IV searches on Bruxish against the Psychic Cup meta, but there is the potential for the Galarian Slowking to get a defense breakpoint on the Bruxish. Rank 1 Bruxish against rank 1 Galarian Slowking will get the breakpoint. But if the Galarian Slowking is a little bit of a higher defense quality, you might miss it, and then you might be losing that matchup instead of winning it. So overall, I'd say Bruxish, from what I've seen, really wants to be high stat product, high bulk, but if you got just a little bit more of an attack stat, just a little bit extra attack, it could be nice to maintain that consistency against the Galarian Slowking. If you do skimp too much on the bulk, you do run into problems in other matchups that I think are common enough where it will kind of bite you in the butt. There is a Malamar breakpoint, but it doesn't flip anything, and the better Malamars, the Swag Malamars, are going to get the breakpoint anyways because they've got, lower bulk, lower defenses, and it doesn't flip the matchup. So yeah, I'd say stay low on the attack, just a little bit higher to keep the Slowkings in check. Another thing to highlight with Bruxish is that it can be a big XL Pokemon in the Ultra League. At level 49.5, the rank 1, that's where it caps off. Now, that is a lot of XL candy for a brand spanking new Pokemon, and will your effort, get a payoff? I don't really think so. I mean, it's not so hot in the Open Great League. I don't know if I skimped over that fact earlier in the video. I think I just dived into the cups right away. But yeah, Giratina's here. Oh, Bite, super effective against Giratina. Giratina's got Shadow Claw and a whole bunch of other scary attacks that Bruxish does not want to face. And once again, it's not exactly the tankiest thing on the block. Also struggles against the Trevenant and, other Pokemon in this cup. Tapu Fini, big dog up here, and then you got all the fighting Pokemon. So yeah, Bruxish, you could do it, but yeah, I probably wouldn't do it unless you're like a Ultra League enthusiast or like a content creator or something, because it's not looking so hot. And then finally we have the Master League meta, where we're comparing Bruxish with 2 shields against opponents with 0 shields, and honestly I'm kind of surprised that it's getting 9 wins here. What are we beating? We beat Excadrill, okay, but mostly stuff that should be vulnerable to us to begin with, just based on resistances and stuff. But the moment they spend a shield, hey, we're still getting wins. Bruxish! Master League Bruxish! Wow, I was talking down before. Now I'm learning some respect. What is it beating? Am I doing this right? It says 5 wins. None of these look like wins. 3 wins. Bruxish, calm down. But where are the wins? Watch out, Mewtwo. The Bruxish is gonna fuck you up. Oh, golly. It's not even the right color. So that about wraps it up for Bruxish here. If you got any questions on this content, of course, comment below, let me know what's up, and I'll be happy to help you out. And if you enjoyed this kind of content, you want to see more like it, maybe you want a nice overview analysis of the Surf Slow Dudes coming up, well, make sure to subscribe to SwagTips. SwagTips. I'd also like to give a special shout out to these Patreon supporters. If you want to support Swagman on Patreon, link in the description. I really dig the new background, and it also helps with the whole lighting issue that I was having in my previous videos, because now I got white behind me instead of dark purple. But man, I need to stop at Home Depot or something and get some better adhesive